Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Roundup. This is another episode of On the Field. I have a special guest. Her name is Morgan Wheeler from who marched Atlanta CV in the 2024 season. Welcome to the podcast, Morgan. How are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing good. So, how was your 2024 season?
It was incredible. Coming off the 2023 season for me and just being able to jump into this new position as conductor, it was truly amazing.
That's awesome. So, as we get things started here, how did you get involved in the marching arts, and where did your passion for music come from?
So I randomly showed up to a football game for my high school and saw the band get on the field and I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." Like, jumping on the field and doing all this really cool stuff. And then I joined my high school program and just fell in love with it. Fell in love with playing the tuba, playing or with all these amazing people, doing things with people that enjoy it the most. And that really got me kickstarted in marching arts.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, how long have you been involved in marching arts?
6 or 7 years now,
Okay.
somewhere.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. What makes marching in drum corps special to you?
The people. They're being surrounded by people who love what you love, and being able to do the passion that you have with people like that is what inspires me and what makes you just amazing to March Drum Corps.
That's awesome. So, you are the drum major. How did you get to be drum major?
Well, I did my first 2 years on tuba, and I did my first 2 years with Atlanta CV on tuba, and then I ended up fracturing my back.
Oh
So it
my
came down
goodness.
to a decision of don't do it anymore or find something easier. And I spoke to our brass caption head because I had a little bit of conducting experience, and I was like, what would it take for me to be a drum major? And November camp, I showed up, I auditioned. It was terrible, but I kept working towards it. And he's like, you know what? We'll put you on the podium.
That's incredible. Wow. That's crazy.
Mhm.
So, what was it like? What's the different perspective from drum major to marching in the field? How is that different?
It's completely different. You hear things you never get to hear. You learn a different aspect. You're in front of the group instead of in the group, and you hear all the staff comments, and you really learn from a different level. Like as a tuba player, I never got to see the show. I never got to hear the show. And then
Mhm.
as a conductor, I was like, I can hear all this now, and I can hear everything become one thing.
Okay, sounds good. That's awesome.
Mhm.
Um, what are your thoughts on the DCI DCA merger?
At first, I was a little scared. I was like, okay, how are we, these traditions at Rochester that we do, how are we going to float them over? And, that change of top of August, top of September, it's like, we're losing 3 weeks. And then as the season progressed, I was like, we're getting pushed out more. Like DCI is pushing more of these teams. You're seeing more of the groups you never heard of before who were DCA at the time to now they're DCI. And everybody knows our name. And we go out to
Hmm.
Birmingham and like, oh, CV. And I'm like, yeah, we're CV. It's
Yeah,
definitely, it was so much better than I expected.
really, really.
Hmm.
What was one of the best new things that you've seen with the addition of DCI All Age?
The branding. We're definitely being
Hmm.
put out more. You're hearing these teams be put out more and just being able to say, "Oh, I march CB," and like, "Oh, I know what that is."
Yeah,
That's awesome.
that's really cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I've seen a lot more marketing for myself
Hmm.
as a fan. Like the marketing behind DCI is there, and it's just incredible.
It is.
And also being able to march in the same field as the world class corps is that's a big boost also.
I know my first year was in 22 with CB, and we did DCI Southeastern, and I was like, "Oh, this is interesting," being able to march in the same field as them. And then when we come into 24, I'm like, I'm now at the big leagues. I'm in Lucas Oil. I'm sharing this field with like drum corps legends, in my opinion,
Hmm.
and just
Yeah.
that experience is incredible too.
Yeah. How was your championships experience? What was that like for everyone to be at Lucas Oil?
It was a huge change, and being able to get up and get there and experience it especially because we're not in that soccer stadium anymore. Like Rochester was small, it was
Mm-hmm.
very different, and going into Lucas Oil, we're in this huge stadium, and it was, I don't know how to describe, like the emotions I built up were very
I
different. But I
bet.
think everybody who had never marched there before were super excited, and it was a
Yeah.
great feeling.
Yeah, I bet. What are you most excited for this era of drum corps and DCI?
Definitely the continued growth. Like there were some hiccups this year, and now that we have everything figured out, I think
Mm-hmm.
the continued push and the continued growth of being able to get more people involved. Like I know that with the all age branding, more people are realizing they can do drum corps. They can get
Yeah,
out there and do it, and it's I think that the sport, this marching arts, is going to grow, and it's going to
I
be
think
really
it is
important.
too. I think it is too.
Hmm.
I'm excited to see the growth where, like, with new groups coming in to all age
Hmm.
already, like, you can already see the growth that's gonna happen.
And it's awesome,
That's really
especially
cool.
seeing the outside of CV because I didn't get to go to their camp yesterday, but seeing this like huge new group come through. And like we've been needing that, and I would say that this branding to DCI All Age has definitely done that, and it's bringing people in, it's bringing everyone back, and that was
Yeah.
really cool.
I've heard that the audition camp was huge yesterday, from what I've heard anyway.
Hmm.
I've heard that a
Everything was
lot of
fun.
people showed up.
Yeah, it was really nice to see fresh new faces on the conductors and fresh new faces in the tuba line, and like this is going to be a good year.
That's awesome. Any hints in the show you can share?
I have no idea. Nobody will
Oh,
tell
okay.
me.
Oh, okay, cool.
It'd be nice. I reached out to some of my fellow vets and like, well, we can't say anything. I'm like, ah, come on.
Oh man. What are your plans for going into the 2025 season?
So for me, I'm currently out in Louisiana. I'm no longer home in Georgia. So it was really hard for me to get back to CV, which would have been nice. But I reached out to some friends in my band and we're looking to hopefully go March Boston this year. It'd
Ooh,
be nice to
cool.
be out with the Boston Crusaders.
That'll be awesome.
I hope so.
Now, will this be your age out season?
No, I just freshly turned 18. So I've
Okay,
got four
okay,
more
very cool.
seasons.
Oh, very nice. Okay, cool. So, what's getting ready for that? Are you gonna audition as a drum major or a member, a marcher?
Tuba,
Oh,
hopefully.
okay. Very cool.
Hopefully.
Very cool. How's the audition process from DCI, from Boston to Atlanta CV? Have you experienced any of that yet?
I have not been able to, but I will say that having the option of a video is a lot different. I
Oh,
know
okay.
for my experience at CV, it was hard to do videos because we didn't have the staff, and more like we were like, just come out and come experience the camp, and we'll, most likely get a contract.
Oh,
As to
okay.
where with Boston, they're like, hey, we have this video audition, come do it. We'll also invite you back with the video, which has really been a change.
Oh, okay. Are you in the process now, or do you have the dates already set for that?
I have the process of a video right now,
Oh,
so
okay.
hopefully I'll get that sent out.
Very cool. Very cool. Um, what was your favorite part of the 2024 season?
Walking on the field of Lucas Oil for the first time.
Hmm.
When
How
we did
how
sound,
how was that?
it was exhilarating. I
Oh,
mean,
I
you
bet.
ask anyone, I cried.
Oh,
We
that's
stepped foot
hmm.
there. I'm pushing my podium, and I just look up and just tears.
Oh, that's awesome.
It
That is
was
so
something else.
cool. What advice do you have for people wanting to join Atlanta CV or any all age corps?
Honestly, go for it. I know my rookie year, I was terrified. I was like, I'm not good enough. I'm not, anywhere near to do this. And each year I told myself that. And each year was like, I was given the feedback if you're okay. We can teach you the things you need to know if you just go in with that mindset of like, just go for it.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Biggest thing I had to tell myself was just, you are good enough. It doesn't matter where you're at on the playing level, they will get you there. If you just show up with a good attitude and you know what you're doing, everything will be fine.
Wow, that's awesome. How far is your travel from where you're living to Atlanta CV?
When I marched, it was an hour and a half for me.
Oh, okay.
it wasn't that at all.
Oh, okay. I thought it was longer. Like I know I
Mm.
was watching I joined the band page, and like I saw one guy was coming from 12 hours away. I'm like, you're crazy. That's
We
insane.
see my first year we have one come from South Florida, which is about a 10-hour drive for him. And then my second and third year, I think the furthest we had was 5.5 hours.
Oh, okay.
And this year they're committed. I'm like, that's a long drive.
That is seriously a long drive and a lot of
Hmm.
commute. Like, and every weekend, how can people do that? I don't understand that.
I couldn't.
It's
I
crazy
mean,
to me.
if I were to march now, it would be a 9-hour drive for me.
Wow, that's wild.
Hmm.
How, if you don't get into Boston, are you planning to go into another group?
Take a year off.
Okay, okay, cool.
Ever since I fractured my back, it's been very difficult for me to move up. And so I
Mm,
told myself I could go back to CV. I have no commitments here that would stop me from traveling out there and just living out there for the summer. But I honestly think I'm going to take a year off.
oh, okay. Well, hopefully you get into Boston. I hope that'll be awesome. That'd be great.
Hmm.
What makes marching in Atlanta CV unique?
I would definitely say the culture. Like, I know every corps can say that, but for me, being close to home and being in Atlanta and knowing that we've branched off as our own thing, and everyone comes from different places, and some of them they are Spirit of Atlanta vets, some of them are, but most of us are rookies, and being able to build that culture of we are our own corps. Like Atlanta CV is it's a very wide group, and it to me was definitely the culture of marching.
Okay, that's awesome. When you mean wide, what do you mean when you said that?
So from what I have noticed in the all age spectrum, we've had a very wide range of ages, all the
Okay.
way from about 14 to my favorite member, who's I don't think he's marching this year. He was 62 when he stopped marching,
Wow.
and so that wide range of ages and that wide range of like um, knowledge in the culture and the marching arts is very interesting.
Yeah. How is that as a younger person marching with someone and such an older age? Is that different? Is that hard? Is it easier? Or how is that?
In different aspects, it's easier because they have the experience, and in some aspects, it's a little bit harder because we know that it's harder on them. But being able to come together in that aspect, we push away from the harder, and it becomes easier of knowing their knowledge and learning how they did it back in the day and how we're doing it now. I would definitely say it's more on the easier side.
Oh, okay. What are your thoughts on Fusion Core moving down to Jersey? I mean Florida.
It's very interesting. When the news first came out, we were all kind of I was speculating like most sports aren't in Florida because of the heat and there's everything in Florida that kind of knocks the cores out. But I definitely think they're opening a wider range of people and they're
Mm-hmm.
bringing a different culture in Florida. And I think it'll be an interesting change.
I hope that they can get I think they can get the numbers and everything. I hope so.
I would hope
Uh,
so because I think some of the Georgia people will commute down there, and a lot of the Florida people who are commuting to Georgia will commute to them.
Oh, okay. So you guys have a lot of members from Florida then?
We have quite the few, I would
Oh,
say.
okay.
So I think that some of those people from Florida will look into them and be like, "Oh, let's go over there for,
Oh,
a
that's
day."
cool. That's cool. Yeah, hopefully they have good turnout.
I hope
I'm
so.
excited for the next season because like with the you guys get to have a prelims this year for
Mhm.
that's pretty awesome. That's
I
exciting.
mean, because we mentioned that I talked to my director about it because our first 2 years, with DCA, we had 2 or 3 performances. We didn't just
Yeah.
have the one and done. And
Yeah.
so that was a huge talk at finals is what if we had that prelims and what if we had, more than one performance. So it's definitely exciting to see that they're doing that this year.
Yeah, that is very exciting. What are your thoughts on adjusting the from 25 up to 40 the membership of the cores?
I mean, it's very, I don't know how to explain it. I don't have anything against it because I think it's a good change and it's a
Mhm.
good opening to everything, but there could be hardships with it. I know with having more on that, but I think it's a good thing. I think
Yeah.
opening that up is a good idea.
Okay. Yeah. I think it is a good idea as well. I hope that the members that have struggled for to get the members are gonna, with the all age now being part of being a thing instead of just East Coast. I'm hoping that they can get the numbers and where they want to go.
Mm.
Where do you see DCI all age going in the future?
I hope it just goes up from here. I know that, like I said, the first year had a lot of hiccups. So being able that this year, that first year was kind of a trial run. And now we're on
Hmm.
the second year of, okay, we've done this trial run. And I hope it just continues to grow, like how the world class and open class have grown. And it just continues to get bigger and better. And as the years progress, they realize more fluctuative age outs going in. And it not being, whereas DCA was the stepping stone, it's no longer that stepping stone. Like people
Yeah.
see, oh, I can come here as an age out and keep marching, or I can start here and then move up and come back.
And then come back. Exactly. Yeah. What What are some of the hiccups that you guys faced this season?
The sound check and not having that prelim run. I know for us specifically, we had a lot of phasing issues in the sound check, and there wasn't a lot of time to work with those phasing issues in Lucas Oil,
Oh, okay.
and pushing that finals run where it's one and done. You
Yeah.
don't get a second chance. You don't get anything like that. And I know for like the open class, world class sports, they get, prelim, semis, and finals. And we're like,
Hmm.
okay, well, y'all get this one chance to settle in, this next chance,
Yeah.
and then your finals run. I think that was one of the bigger hiccups. And otherwise, we just talked about the logistics of it, being there so early in the morning, having to clear out, and then world class jumps in.
Yeah. What was your travel like to Indy? How was that?
We bust up like we normally did, and 18 hours versus 8 hours. It was nice to just do 8 hours. But we bust in and we bust into our housing site, and our housing site was about an hour from Lucas Oil,
Okay.
which wasn't terrible. But we took the old charter buses and we bust up there 8 hours.
Oh, nice. Okay. So it was 18 hours up to New York.
Chester. Mhm.
Oh, that's crazy.
It
So
was
it's a
very
lot
very
closer,
fun.
I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now, what was the tuition? Was that How was that? Did that go up or down with not going to New York?
It increased a little bit, but with the increase in tuition, we got more performances.
Oh,
So
okay.
I
That's
think, yeah, we did 1,800 in 23, and then going into this new season, they went up to 2,200, which in my opinion wasn't bad because we got
Oh,
more
okay.
performances and we got to go to Lucas Oil, so it wasn't
Oh,
that
that's
bad.
awesome. That's cool. Do
Hmm.
you know any like what performances they're planning this year at all?
I have a feeling from what I've heard, it'll be the same schedule as last year plus a
Oh,
couple
okay.
extra.
Oh, good, good. Yeah, I'm hoping
Mhm.
that more groups get to go out and show their stuff. I'm really excited for that.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm so excited for them.
Oh, I can't wait for. I know the schedule drops the 20th, I believe, before DCS schedule, so I'm really excited for that.
That's good.
Yeah. What is the audition process at Atlanta CV?
So we do I think they're doing this for year as well. They do an open house in November and an open house in December. November is kind of open to everybody. And then in December, we see kind of a drop in percussion and guard due to the indoor seasons. And most of people in brass land are contracted around January, February, and we do just your everyday visual block in the morning. You open up to how do we march? What are we going to do? What's the expectation of the visual staff? Go on break, and then we jump in from what I've noticed with brass and individual sections, and we do the basis of everything. You just kind of learn how the brass staff work, how it's going to work the entire season, and then you do your individual auditions, which normally consist of an etude in our packet and just like a scale or two of your choice. And
Okay.
our brass caption head will interview you, ask you a few questions of just like what's your opinion on leadership, what's your opinion like and how you want this core to run. And that's just a really simple, easy focus on the audition, but it's mainly how do you work with other people in the corps.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Is there a lot of people that come and audition, or how does everyone have to audition, or how does that work?
From when I did it last year, they did it the same way of everyone had to audition. It didn't matter if you were a vet, new, everyone went through the audition process. And this year a lot of people were there. I mean,
Really?
my mom was working the merch booth and she's like, I've never seen this many people come in at CB.
Really?
And
Wow.
then I mean our interest group now is up to 500 something people and
Wow.
it's never been that big.
That
And I
is
was like,
amazing to hear that.
oh yeah. And to see the outcome of conductors, we had 6 people audition yesterday. There
Wow.
were 15, 16 tubas, and I was like, that is incredible.
Wow. Is that all just from DCI All Age? The branching
Hmm.
out.
Oh
That
yeah,
is that is awesome. Like you can tell it's working, and I don't see it going back to DCA. I think it's gonna be staying with DCI.
I agree. I
I
think
Go ahead.
listen, I think with the seeing this finals run and then seeing this influx at auditions, they'll keep it.
Yeah. I mean, being able to watch finals like for myself, like watch it on Flow, because
Hmm.
honestly, I never really got to watch much because it was on Box Five, and I didn't have the resources to watch it. But watching it on Flow was really cool, and seeing all the groups, it was just great. And the way DCI is pushing and Flow's pushing, and like it's gonna be a crazy year, I think.
I do too. I'm super duper excited to see them. Whether I'm on the field with someone else and run into them, or I'm taking the year off and watching on the outside, I'm so excited to see where they're going.
Yeah, I hope we get to see that these groups are gonna try to really push the envelope this year and really
Hmm.
go for it and just do something crazy that these all age has never done before.
Hmm. I hope that'd be really really nice.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the other groups coming into all age?
I think it'll expand. I feel like with the 12 we've had, it's kind of gonna bring in this new groups and it'll bring in more competition, not competition per se, but it'll bring in like this freshness of, oh, well, like we can't be the same anymore. Like we
Yeah.
can't just do our normal routine and, expect what we're going to place. And having these new groups come in, we'll get more eyes on all age. We'll get more people out and about moving. And they won't be like, well, it's the Bucks or it's CV. It's just these new groups and we want to watch it more.
Yeah. I think it's I think whatever DCI did to join All Age and DCI, it was just incredible. It was smart. I think
Hmm.
it needed to happen because I don't think it would have survived much longer. Just from what I've heard talking to different people, like how low attendance was last year at
Hmm.
championships, and just from talking to other people on here, it's been interesting to hear other people's thoughts on all that.
I know the influx from because in 22 we were struggling as a core, and being going into championships, it was very very small audience. It was very small branding, and then even in 23 when the core doubled in size, and we were just like, oh, but championships is still small, and we're walking into there's like nobody in the stands, and everyone who is watching they're watching on box five, and then
Mm,
going into 24 we're like, wow, the core is now successful. We've tripled everything, and we walk into this huge stadium with a huge crowd, more than we've ever had. And I
yeah.
think that influenced the cores a lot. I know for me it did. Watching that growth and then jumping into DCI All Age having way more of a fan base.
So you guys tripled in size in a year?
So it's from not tripled exactly, it's a little bit of exaggeration, but we grew a lot. Like we went from 3 conductors to 4 of us, and then we jumped from 10 tubas in 23 to 14 tubas in 24. Our horn
Wow.
line doubled in size. Our color guard doubled. Our percussion got huge. I was just like, we've grown way more people in 24.
That is awesome. That's really
Hmm.
cool. I can't wait to see the numbers. Like from what I've heard that from this year, that's gonna. I think it's gonna be a big group. I think we're
I
gonna see a lot of the smaller groups filling out more because of this whole all age and people finding out. Like people didn't know about all age before, which is
mhm,
crazy. Like it was just so East Coast based. Now it's across America, nationwide.
mhm. I definitely think there will be this opening to it. I know with 24, everyone was kind of like, oh, well, what is this? And now they're like, oh, it's this big deal, and there's more things about it, and we're pushing it out more and more. And I definitely
Hmm.
see this year being a lot more growth, a lot more positivity within the activity BCI all age.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm so excited. I think it's gonna be great, incredible.
I'm with you there.
What is your motivation to stay going in drum corps when the days get tough or you're just exhausted and you want to quit?
I have this good old quote from my brass caption head in 23 is I struggled to show up in 23. I was like I had a
Mm.
horrible experience in 22. I did not want to show up. And then I sat down with my brass caption head Akash Patel and he was just like what keeps you coming back? And I'm like truly I don't know. And he was like okay, but what makes you happy? And I'm like my rookies. Being able to be a vet and watch these people come in and change and grow and be able to wake up and see their smiling faces and grow is truly inspirational for me. And then in 24, with my back pain and just struggling with that, I'd wake up and not want to move. And then I'd see one of the kids I looked up to and they're like, let's go do this. I'm like, I agree with you. And
Oh,
just
that's
having
awesome.
that support of friendship in drum corps just
Mm.
kept me moving.
Yeah, that's cool. I love to hear the stories of like just the inspiration, the joys, the heartaches, the pain. Like it needs to be said, and people need to hear this stuff. Like what makes drum corps special and why do you keep doing it? I love to find that the why and why you keep doing it. Like it's just
Mhm.
incredible.
I know for CV especially, our director Russ Thompson, he asked us every week. He's like, "What is your why?" It's gonna
Mhm.
change, but you gotta have that why. And for me, it changed so many times. It's like each week it was a different why. And by the time we got to the end of the season, I was like, my why is the pure relationships we make. I
Mm.
feel like in drum corps, you don't, you get these completely different relationships than you do in regular marching band and it's truly inspiring.
Oh, okay. So are you still in high school then, if I may ask? Or did you
I'm in my
graduate?
first year of college.
Oh, okay, very cool, very cool.
Hmm.
Um hmm. Honestly, that's all the questions I have. Any closing thoughts before we end the podcast at all?
I will say this: if you're thinking about it, do it. If you want to march, march. There's gonna be a core for everyone, and it may not be the Blue Devils, but there's always a core for everyone to march at. And that took me 3 years to figure out, but there's always a place for someone.
That's awesome. That's cool. Well, Morgan, thank you so much for coming on. I know it was a quick podcast night, but I appreciate it.
And of course, thank you for
And I
having
wish you the
me.
best of luck. And I hope you can get into Boston and keep me updated on stuff, how everything goes.
I will. Thank you.
That's awesome. Hey, have a great night.
You too.
Bye bye.